What's going on YouTube? SeoulStEaL here. We're going to be reacting to the Stormgate footage that we got to see at the PC Gaming live stream just last weekend. And in addition, we're going to be looking at a new trailer that they just released on YouTube just yesterday. So let's go ahead and let's dive right into it. Before we dive into these videos, I do want to go ahead and point out as a disclaimer that I have already seen the footage here. I watched it live during the PC Gaming live stream, so I just want to let you guys know. But we're going to be reacting and giving our opinions nonetheless. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So right off the bat, we can see that the projectiles for the BFGs is way too slow for them to be really all that effective. If I skim back over the 17 seconds, this is when they have sieged up right at the last second that they, like as soon as they see this army. 17, 18, 19, 20. So I'd say 2.5 to 3 seconds for the projectiles to go from the tank to their pinpointed location. That's a lot of time to give your opponent micro potential to evade the shots completely and take no damage. In StarCraft 2, for instance, when a siege tank fires, it's an instant hit. Like fire hit, fire hit, fire hit. And then here, we're getting the opportunity to micro. I do like that, but I don't like how slow the projectile moves. It looks cool in trailers, but it sure as hell is not practical in a gameplay sense whenever you're trying to make what I would assume is an expensive unit feel like it's worth the investment. I've also already done the counting of how many units are here. It's 20 mechanical units versus 25 biological units or 25 infantrymen. And if this is supposed to be a showcasing of a max army versus a max army, this is pretty laughable in my eyes. Let's go ahead and continue the video. So we see some other skirmishes going on. We see some micro potential with the infantrymen walking out of the pinpoint, the circles from the siege, the BFGs, dogs chasing down riflemen, some friendly fire damage showcasing with the dropship micro.
In the early game, and then just try to overwhelm him with a massive amount of macro.
We see that the worker, which is called Bob, is kind of like is functioning similar to how Terran and Zerg build. The unit goes out to build the structure, but then the unit gets consumed temporarily to make like a 3D printer and then prints up the structure. But then you get the worker back after the structure's completed. One thing that's really disappointing me the most right now is the supply count. The supply being capped at 40. Not a big fan of not having a whole lot of room to work with when it comes to building a big army. And in a game where there is expanding, it's just I'm not a big fan of playing with small armies. I like to be able to max out on a huge army, like in StarCraft 2 with 200, or other games like Command & Conquer or Supreme Commander games where you have an unlimited amount of units to make, depending on how many resources you're able to collect. And in the Supreme Commander games on up, it's an unlimited amount. In Command & Conquer, it does like slow down as the nodes get depleted, but it's still an unlimited amount. And so, not sure how the economy works in this game, but it's very Warcrafty, Warcraft 3 like, and I didn't play Warcraft 3, nor was I ever attracted to the idea of playing Warcraft 3. I just couldn't get into wanting to try it in the first place. So I'm getting a lot of those same vibes where it just doesn't impress me. This game doesn't appeal to me right now, and I'm still gonna try it, but at the moment it's can't get myself into wanting to play this, especially with seeing the supply that low. There's just not a whole lot of opportunities to have epic battles in my eyes. I mean, there's probably lots of micro potential, but there's got to be macro too. There's got to be big battles in for what I like, that is. Oh yeah, some people were thinking that maybe this structure right here is a supply depot. So we can see that there's 2 of them now, and the supply is still at 40. You see how it's still at 40, despite there not being 2 of these structures. So I know some people were speculating that this could be a supply depot, but it sure as hell is not. So it's still at 40. I don't know what it is. I don't know why there's 2 of them.
Hi, my name is Kevin Monkdong.
Maybe there's a... I'm not...
Today, I'll be trying a fast...
To me, it looks more like a silo. In the old Command & Conquer games, you needed silos to store additional resources that you're collecting. So, for instance, in Red Alert, there's I was going to say the opposite. In Red Alert, there's ore, and in Tiberian Sun, and in the Tiberium universe, there's Tiberium. And in the older games, in order for you to have more money banked up, you needed a silo to store your reserves.
And then I'll try to tech to higher tier units to defend whatever TLO throws at me.
Like, that plan will go well. You're gonna fast expand and tech up in at the same time. That never works out. Unless you're Protoss and you make a shield battery and you sit there and rush a carrier out. And like in GSL, what was it, last year? That's what some of the Protoss players were doing against Zerg. They were rushing for air and getting carriers at 5 minutes with a shield battery to hold off. But only in those scenarios. But, I mean, you can still get punished for it. Just hard. But anyway, that's besides the point. We're not talking about StarCraft here. We're talking about Stormgate. So you can see how well that worked out for him, where he took heavy economic damage in exchange for getting these 2 mech units out. That he basically lost the advantage of fast expanding. We don't have any additional information on the minimap as to whether TLO has an expansion or not. It looked like Monk was trying to send out his dog to scout and got denied by these 8 infantrymen, and these 2 mech units are actually going to do terrible, terrible damage to TLO's infantry. As you can see, they're doing penetration damage where they're shooting through the primary target and hitting the targets behind them, which I do like. I think that's pretty cool right there. I also do like how these units cannot pursue because the trees, the density of the trees is too thick for them. But we see later on that you can bash these trees down. But it looks like he doesn't want to lose the advantage of having a wall here. I guess you could say concealment because you can't see past these trees unless you destroy them. So I guess he doesn't want to lose his defense advantage.
TLO isn't familiar with, perhaps, maybe even luckily creepjacking him.
So we got to see there that these walkers, they stun a single unit whenever they jetpack into and slam into them. So that's pretty interesting as well. There's a stun mechanic, and you get to see the visual representation with the swirling thing over their heads. I do like that. Here's another sign that this game is more like Warcraft 3 because you have creep here, and this looks like some sort of buff that you can get if you kill the creep. I'm not sure what this is. Unless it's just a visual bug, but that seems kind of silly to have. But not surprising if it is. I'm not sure what that would be, though. I know when I noticed that, I was like, why is there a pink thing right there? And why is he not rushing to go get it? Yeah, he lifts up his units to go away. Why is he not getting that? Or is that just supposed to be like the spawn marker for this creep? I mean, he kills the chicken and gets 50 something. So you see some cheeky micro here with the drop ships.
Attack again from the right side through through the light trees. I'll be able to out-micro him here. He has a more static mech army, I believe.
Here's where the trees get destroyed by the walkers.
Shots, get in there and have a pretty smooth path of attack here.
Oh, that's cheeky. I did not realize that. Okay. So this is something I just now noticed. So we got ourselves a Legacy of the Void siege tank liftoff. The tank, except though, like it gets picked up. You just can't see the tank in that. Like in the beginning of Legacy of the Void, you could pick up siege tanks and then drop them. We have that mechanic back in the game. He picked up the siege tank, moves it, and it deploys right back on the ground, sieged up. That's a Legacy of the Void thing that many people complained about. And we can see that TLO overwhelms with a bunch of infantrymen. I should actually count how many are here now. How many of these but the problem is that so many of them actually do kind of die too. Let's see. There's two things over here. I don't know if those are med techs that are off that we can see. I can't assume it. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So there's actually more units this time. Let's see. I counted 29 before, but then there's even more infantry right here. So there's even more. It looks like there's a 37, unless he brought his workers with him to fight. That is a potential as well, that he just brought all of his workers with him. No, it's Lancers and Riflemen, so it looks like it could possibly be more, like over 30 units. But still, that's still laughable in terms of like comparing this to StarCraft 2. Again, it's still like, I don't know why they're concealing what the supplies are. I kind of wish they would show, maybe at the top, what the supplies are between these two players. So I have a list of pros and cons that I had made. Pros being that since this is a new RTS, they can attract old veteran players for StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, and attract new players who haven't played either of those games before but might be interested in this game to try it out. This is being developed by the old StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 teams from Blizzard Entertainment, so we do have they do have a history of making successful RTS games backing behind this game, so there's going to be a lot of support and experienced developers, an experienced development team backing this game. There's lots of there's the destructible terrain, looks like. At least so far we've seen destructible trees. I'm not sure what else is possibly destructible, but there's also impassable terrain, again, with the trees. We haven't seen much else, but I'm going to go ahead and take a gander here. There might be other things that are destructible and impassable on other maps that have different themes. Like, we're gonna go ahead and make that assumption, but it might not be safe to assume, but I'm gonna go ahead and make it anyway. But my major cons for this game, the biggest one being the supply. It's really, really low. The battles appear to be taking too long to play out. I know that they wanted to have, similar to StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3, they wanted like a middle ground between the two. But it seems more leaning towards Warcraft 3's battle, like how fast their battles take. The pacing of the game also seems pretty slow. We see the first harassment on the expansion of Monk at around 5.5 minutes into the game, and you can see the time right there. I'll go ahead and hide my cam again, but you can see the supply for Monk, for instance, is 33 of 40, and he's only making 2 Walker units right now. And we don't know what his main base has inside of it, but what we can say is that there's not a whole lot to be played with right now. I'm not sure what needs to be produced to increase that supply, if it is possible to increase that supply, but we're just going off of what they're showcasing in the video. Yeah, it's 5 minutes into the game, and then for some reason they decide to hide everything else from us when it comes to pacing. Like, what time are these things happening? What time is this final battle happening in the game? We don't know, because they hit it. I don't know why, but it seems fairly slow. It's closer to StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty when it comes to the pacing, which a lot of people weren't necessarily a fan of. Especially, it was definitely difficult to watch games back then because it took so long to get to the action in StarCraft 2. Legacy of the Void helped deter that by speeding up the game, by basically giving everybody double the amount of workers and then reducing the amount of resources are at each base in order for players to be forced to speed expand, thus speeding up the pacing of the game and how often battles are happening and how active players have to be within throughout the game. So I do like Legacy of the Void for that, but this is definitely slowed down compared to that. I can't base any like comparisons between this game and Warcraft 3. It just looks like Warcraft 3 in every sense. There's not a whole lot of StarCraft 2 in it. All we can do, or at least I should say, all I could do is try to compare RTSs I played in the past to what I'm seeing right here, and I'm just not excited for this one, for this title. And it's okay. Not every game is made for everyone. If they do changes, or if they showcase some things where I get to see a larger supply right here, if I get to see a much larger supply than 40, if I could see like a 200, then maybe. But like, I want to be able to see big battles with lots of units. I don't like seeing small battles. And if they speed up the pacing of the game, they're gonna have to figure it out. It it definitely worked out in the favor of Legacy of the Void, but I do want to see the game pacing a little bit sped up in order to skip the boring parts at the beginning with trying to build up your economy. That part of the game needs to be reduced a little bit more, because it's 5 minutes in and Monk's got 2 units and a dog. He's technically 3. He had a dog too, but that's 3 units versus 8 from TLO. And I feel like there definitely should be more at that time in the game. That's my opinion on the game. I'm not a big fan. Looks more like Warcraft 3. Not a big fan of that. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. I mean, but basically just went through the details of everything I like and don't like. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind clicking like and subscribe down below, and if you wouldn't mind following me on my Twitter, my Twitch, and also my Kick, you can find those in the description down below. If you guys wouldn't mind following, I'd greatly appreciate it. So yeah, see you guys in the next video.